Counterpunch Media Live in 3, 2, 1.
Live from the Counterpunch Studios in Columbus, Ohio, you're listening to All Natural Being with Brian Brawdy on IPMNation.com. If you're not going to Mortal Up, why not just stay in bed?
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
This is not a drill.
All Natural Being. Warning, All Natural Being with Brian Brawdy is designed to shake your sense of self to the core.
It's full contact psychology with an empowering twist, a philosophical loofah for your soul.
For those of you not ready or comfortable releasing your inner superhuman, listener discretion is advised.
Here's your host,
Brian Brawdy.
Welcome, and thank you for stopping by for what is now the 443rd episode. Get out of here. 443rd episode as your snooze alarm's sworn enemy. Radio that sparks your smart. Broadcast that builds your strong and unleashes your legendary. Because make no mistake, be certain about this one thing. If you're still here, you have a legend to let loose. And we're simply serving up the best thoughts in the history of thinking. End of story. And I'm fired up, as always, to be your virtual hitchhiker, to be riding shotgun, or virtual hitchhiker, if you want to put it another way. Riding shotgun as you get into your day. So what do you say? Here's your opportunity to mortal up, to crush your cant and your critics. It's time. So let's go kick in some doors, and I am ready for it. We're kicking off, speaking of kicking off a week, April 1st. Happy April 1st. And I'd like to say, I have an April Fool's thing to play today, but I'm not that bright. Who are we kidding, right? April Fools, I'd only end up fooling myself. So, but happy April 1st. I hope it's spring wherever you are, or at least spring is pretty soon on the way. Snowed here yesterday in beautiful Columbus, Ohio. It snowed here yesterday, which is always fun when all it's been doing is snowing since it seems like October. So you're pretty full of that. So I got that going for me. But I hope it's spring wherever you are, and I hope you're ready to jump start a week. Kind of a big week for us. Today marks the countdown for me. 23 days from today, I'll head over to the Columbus Cranium Shack and Needle Emporium and undergo my little soiree with the Dremel, the bone Dremel. And have my 5th surgery. So what we're going to be doing in the next 23 days is giving you an idea. Like, I'm pretty excited about it tomorrow. If it's cool with you, what I'd like to do is how I'm working to balance my immune system. Because a part of what I've got going on now, coming up in 23 days, is that I believe with every fiber in me, if you will, I believe, just like your all-natural being, that your immune system can rise to any challenge, and I mean any challenge. But if we have it hogtied, if we have its hamstrung, if its hands are tied behind its back, and you're asking the immune system in your body, philosophical or physiological, if you're asking your immune system to take on some heavy lifting, right, with not firing on all cylinders, I think you're in for trouble. Again, philosophically or physiologically. So what I'll be doing for the next 20 days, what I always do, with a real focus on it now, is not only making sure that my immune system it's not even really bolstered because your immune system likes a day at the beach. It likes to kick back, just like the caddies in Caddyshack, that 15 minutes of summer when they open the pool. Your immune system likes to be able to kick back, grab a lazy lounger, maybe a little drink by the pool, right? Your immune system wants some time off as well. Right? So it can be ready for whatever your environment throws at you. So I like the concept of balancing out my immune system, making sure it has its days off, making sure it has its time that it's revved up. So what we'll be doing over the next 21 days is, of course, we'll be talking about BioPro. We'll be talking about, the hydrogen pills that I use. We'll be talking about filtered water. We'll be talking about some of the things that I'm doing. We'll be talking about Fan Buddy. I'm busy setting up the room that I will recover in once they expel me, once they parole me from the Columbus Cranium Shack and Needle Emporium. Setting up that room so the air will be purified. I'll have all these different things. So over the next 21 days, we're going to be working a little bit to kind of identify, right, what it is I do every day. Tomorrow we'll be talking about the first 3 things I do every morning. Bar none. Well, you get up, you brush your teeth, that kind of thing. But after you get that done, the first 3 things I do every morning to help balance out my immune system so that no matter what happens throughout the day, it's ready to go. So I'm very excited about that. And the countdown begins. I'm also excited about this, and I want to make mention of it very, very quickly. And thank you so much for all the feedback. Thank you for all the people talking and sending us texts and give us an idea of what's going up. But if you're watching the video as opposed to listening on radio, what you see now is the graphic up in 30 guarantee. What we're working to do now is making sure that today's show in under 30 minutes, top of the hour, top of the 8 o'clock hour, will be up so that you can go to IPMNation.com, the Bry, and have today's show. So if you don't catch us live, you'll be able to go and get the show. That'll be our up in 30-minute guarantee. Let me thank my son, Parker, my oldest son, Parker Brawdy, for drawing the human brain in a pair of hands. Which is kind of like a double entendre, if you will. And that's why I want to use it for my up in 30, because as I get ready for a brain surgery, it's kind of like my mind's in your hands. And I like to turn the tables at least for 30 minutes every morning and say, all right, well, let me put your mind in my hands and reinstall your sense of all natural being and the like. So up in 30 is our new guarantee. The show will be up in 30 minutes, top of the hour, 8 o'clock Eastern time. Then you do the math, 765, around the globe. The show will be up 30 minutes if you happen to miss the live one. All right. Low Life's making headlines. Let's get to this right away because I don't want to belabor the point, but let's do this quickly. We'll be right back. Hot heads wrapped in thin skin covering brittle brains atop balsa wood spines? It's time for Low Life's making headlines. Life's making headlines. It's a chance to get it off our chest, a chance to vent, get it off our back, right? The monkey on your back. Get it off your back bright and early so that you can start the rest of your day going, yeah, let me get some of this off. And today you got to vent. I'm seeing an article on a bunch of different news feeds about an 85-year-old man in San Francisco. Now, regardless of your political thoughts, regardless of any of your other thoughts, he was just an 85-year-old man hanging out, protesting one of the things in life. This was an 85-year-old, according to the article, was assaulted. What was he doing? He was praying outside of Planned Parenthood in San Francisco, and they have a clip, a 22-year-old clip, where someone comes up to him, knocks him down, and repeatedly kicks him, tries to steal. I guess he's got a little sign, and the victim's name, or the victim says, I tried to keep him from taking it, and then he knocked me down and kicked me. And then again, apparently, if you look at the video, repeatedly kicked him and knocked him down. So it makes me think back, when we're talking about these low lifes making headlines, they haven't identified the suspect yet. At least they haven't put it out in the press. But it makes me think, where was that? In Berkeley, where that protester was just punched punched a couple different times in the face by someone that didn't agree with him. But here's the difference in this one. He's an 85-year-old guy, and I'm pretty sure, it's the ex-cop in me. I apologize. Give me a minute. But I'm pretty sure that when they find the suspect, it's not going to be another 85-year-old guy that decided to walk up and sucker punch, knock down, and then kick repeatedly an 85-year-old on the ground. So if you happen to be this suspect, I don't know why you'd be listening to this show, but if you happen to be the suspect, let me just say, you hit and knock and repeatedly kick an 85-year-old. You feeling pretty tough, are you? Are you a bad guy? Are you a badass, really? Then maybe you should look me up, and we can go ahead and finish this once and for all. But if you're a young guy, and your claim to fame, soon to be claim to fame, we hope to catch this guy, this low life making headlines, you think it's a smart idea to punch an 85-year-old guy, 85 years old, knock him to the ground and repeatedly kick him. Now, I know you could say, well, Bri, you're just a little sensitive to people getting punched in the head with all the stuff your head's going through. And I'd be like, you're absolutely right. But I would hope even minus that, you're a young guy, you attack an 85-year-old, it's time for you to have a reckoning. Right? People laugh around me when I use that word. I had a breakfast with a good friend of mine the other day from West Virginia, and reckon is a word that we use every so often when we get together. But a different kind of reckoning. You're a guy, and you look at the videos, he knows what's going on, right? He's an athletically fit guy. Knock an 85-year-old to the ground, commit the robbery of stealing a sign, and then repeatedly kick him. It's time for you to spend a good bit of time in jail. So that's my low life making headlines for this morning, and just it allows me to get it out and go, look, you don't beat up on people. You don't beat up on anybody, right? You don't bully anybody. You don't bully anybody, but you most certainly, as a young guy, don't bully an 85-year-old male. What, there were no 85-year-old women to pick on that day? You coward. All right, so there we are for our low life making headlines this morning. Don't forget, I'm supposed to remind you, you're welcome to call us. It's toll free, 833-MIND-UPS, 833-646-3877. Also, you can text us at that same number, 833-646-3877. And that's where we got the information about, hey, can you get the show up any faster when it goes to on demand? So we absolutely listen to these things. So if you get a chance, and let me also say this, we're going to go ahead. If you text us and kind of like a standard rate thing applies, then we're going to go ahead and just let me know how much they charged you. Just let me know how much they charged you for, for texting in, and we're going to go ahead and cover that for you. Yeah, well, I'll send you a little something in the mail to cover for that. Also, don't forget, we got a call coming in here. I'm hoping it's Derek of Derek Noel Fitness here in just a minute. Let's do this. We'll be right back. The QR code. Yes, I will absolutely put that up. QR code if you're watching on the big screen. Oh, you could be watching us on YouTube now. I'm maybe like Hulu. Who knows where you happen to be watching this video? And you're like, oh man, I got to get out the door, but I don't want to miss Derek and what he's got going on for this week. So you can just hit the QR code on your phone, and we test it every day to make sure that it's up and working, and you can carry us out the door. All right, let's do this real quick, and we will be, I'm hoping we'll be with Derek Noel from Derek Noel Fitness. Stand by.
Now that you're up and the day is coming, we're dedicated to deciphering the writing on your wall.
Ooh, look at that. Dedicated to deciphering the writing on your wall. So speaking of deciphering the writing on your wall, suppose you're thinking, you know what? It's spring. No April Fools. I'd like to get going. I'd like to, you know what I mean? I'd like to be able to maybe get back in shape, get that beach body, the pool body, or maybe you just want to be able to walk to the mailbox in the mornings in your robe, and, you just want to go, hey, I'm looking pretty good doing this. Whatever the reason may be, let's go ahead and welcome the caller. Is this Derek by chance?
It is Derek from Derek Noel Fitness.
Good morning, Derek. How are you?
I'm doing pretty well. It's Monday. Not too bad.
Yeah, you sound like your voice is starting to go there, Top Gun. What's up with you? Howling at the moon too late last night, were you?
We have some pretty on-fire sessions at my work today.
Oh, well, then we won't hold you very long. We want you to be able to keep that voice for barking out those orders. From time to time, if you need to borrow it, I have a bullhorn. Right? If you're like, hey, Bri, can I borrow that bullhorn? I use it.
A little bit of wisdom I would like to impart this morning actually has to do with nutrition this week.
Ooh.
And it is to make sure you have some protein with every meal. Every meal you go into, you should be able to look at whatever your plate is, Tupperware container, whatever it is, and you should be able to say, "This is my protein for this meal."
Wow. Well, you're pretty dedicated when you say, oh, your plate, your dish, your Tupperware container. So you know what it's like to eat on the run, don't you?
Yeah, I do. I do it a lot.
Okay, so what would be an example? People go, oh, so what do you mean, like steak, like eggs? How am I certain I can get my protein in? Because I think that's a great tip. How can you say, oh, here's what we need to do? What's some of the other ways that people may not think is a way of getting some protein in with every meal?
So eggs is a great one.
Eggs, good.
And eggs also have some healthy fat. There is I think some news outlet, I don't remember, I know what it is, but I'm not going to say what it is, put out some article the other day basically reiterating some science from eggs that basically is 20 years old. And all the other modern science goes complete opposite of it.
Right.
But eggs are a completely fine source of protein and some healthy fats. If you're going for breakfast time, hard-boiled eggs are always a good choice.
Sure.
I'm personally not a fan of the yolks, so I get pure protein just by eating the whites.
I like the yolks, though, I got to tell you.
I like the yolks when they're like over easy eggs or something like that, but not
Gotcha.
hard-boiled.
They're good to dip
Weird
toast
texture.
in. Yeah, I'm with you.
If you're doing lunch, chicken on a salad, a nice lean meat, so like a flank steak is super lean protein. It is red meat too. If you're a vegetarian, edamame is a super good source of protein. You have quinoa, all of these different options. So just knowing what on your plate is that protein and making sure you have it with every single meal. It will help make sure that you don't get super tired. It'll help fill you up, and protein doesn't make you feel like you're just going to take a nap afterwards.
Right. Although I did read something interesting the other day, and I wanted to get you to comment on that before we let you go. They're saying now that, especially if you're subject to high blood pressure, there's a whole list of things. They say one of the best things to do is to take a nap, and I'm like, man, I'm down with that. You know what I mean? They don't want you sleeping all day, but if you get up and you get a 2-hour siesta in throughout the day, they say that they now believe that that's better for the human body than taking aspirin, taking, a whole host of different things that we do to try to cure some of these things. They say a 2-hour nap, let your immune system work it out, and doctors now believe that it does. What say you?
It probably has something to do with, so there was a study done where they got everyone caught up on sleep.
Okay.
And so they completely eliminated the sleep deficit, which is a real thing, by the way, which you cannot get rid of in just one weekend.
Okay. I tried.
But they eliminated the sleep, and it probably has more to do with that. That being said, I'm not a doctor.
Right.
So I can only speculate, but that's what I expect it to be. So make sure you get your 7 hours of sleep.
Make sure you get, and you know what works for me, and I don't know where I ever learned this, and the amnesia doesn't help, but my body seems to work on 90-minute cycles. So I can sleep for 6 hours, or I can sleep for 7.5 hours, or 9 hours. Right? So I seem to be coming out of my deep sleep in these 90-minute cycles. Sleep for 8 hours, feel like I got hit with a bat. Sleep for 9 hours, feel like $1 million. And in those days where I'm kind of rushed, if I sleep for like someone will say, oh yeah, you can get 6.5 hours in. If I don't get up on the 6th hour, or 7.5, right? Add another 90 minutes. So I'm always looking at 6 or 7.5, and I try to come up on that 90-minute window because I just seem to wake up naturally. I seem to be, it's never hard for me to get out of bed if I stick with that cycle. And now I'll make sure that I add protein to every meal and make sure that I'm not going into sleep deficit. And I think maybe your body, I mentioned before you came on air that, I'm 23 days away from going under the Dremel tool for brain surgery. So I'm doing everything I can to balance out my immune system. And I would think that the protein with every meal and making sure you're not in sleep deficit, I would think those things are probably pretty cool.
Yeah, they'll go a long way.
Pardon me?
They will go a long way.
I think they will go a long way. So, all right, Derek, as I promised, we wouldn't hold you throughout the show, but thank you so very much. Good luck today, especially if you're roughing people up on the first of the month. And happy April Fool's Day. So we will look for. Oh, don't forget, Derek, where can people reach you? I was watching last evening, a little bit of technical glitch, but right into every life, a little rain must fall, but you nailed it after that. Where can people get a hold of you and send you questions in case there's anything they want to have specifically answered?
They can find me on Facebook at facebook.com/TheDerekNoel. You can also find me on Instagram at TheDerekNoel.
Oh.
You can find me on the Counterpunch Media YouTube channel.
That's great. Fantastic. Well, all right, Derek, thank you so very much for joining us this morning. Folks, don't forget to hit up Derek, and especially if you have a question, he's like your own personal trainer. Right. And the cool thing about it is we don't have to pay for him. I bet you some of these people running around the gym, they're paying to be there. But when we get Derek on the line, right, he's your personal trainer. It's not costing you anything. So I love the idea of having Derek here from time to time. Derek, thanks so much, and we'll talk to you soon.
Yep. Have a good one, Brian.
Your brother. All right, so let's do this real quick. Don't forget, if you want to give us a call, 833-MIND-UPS, just like sit-ups, push-ups, or pull-ups, 833-MIND-UPS. I had someone say to me the other day, what does UPS have to do? I'm like, no, it's not UPS, it's Mind-Ups. Just like sit-ups or push-ups or pull-ups. You can also text us. I'll cover the cost of your text if the phone company really gets upset about you sending a text and goes, well, you owe us 3 cents for that text. Let me know, and I'll get you a nickel in the mail. Also, the QR code, if you're busy heading out the door, grab that QR code. You can pick up the show. No hiccups, no interruptions, no nothing. So if you have a chance to do that, that would be great. All right, let's do this. We will be right back.
You're listening to All Natural Being with Brian Brawdy, because it's never too late to take your life back.
All right. It's never too late, as you well know, to take your life back, something that I'm intimately aware of late. So here's your opportunity. Remember what Derek said, always get a little bit of protein with a meal and make sure that you're not sleep deprived. All right, let's hop over in the thread. Good morning, Lee. Nice to see you. Heather, thank you so very much for joining us. It's nice to see you. I see Heather's picture up quite a bit on Facebook, as I do Lee's over on Facebook and Instagram. Nice to see your smile as always. Happy Monday morning to you. Marcellus says, good morning, everybody. Marcellus, good morning to you. Lee, nice to see you, as I say. Really sick to me. I know, Kathy, right? Like, who would do that to an 85-year-old guy? I'm beside myself with it, which is why I said last evening to Matt Connerton from IPM Nation, you do this low life making headlines to kind of get it out of your system in the beginning of the day. You do this low life making headlines, and it writes itself. It's a shame, but it really does. Marcella says, I'm sorry, but if I'm ever around something like that, I would have to give them a good old fashioned dose of street justice. Marcellus, I'm with you, and it not only extends to one end of the spectrum. I got in a little bit of hot water one time where I watched a guy smack his little kid, just like an open hand slap right across the face. I smacked him back. And the dad was like, what are you doing? I go, don't touch that kid in front of me again. Don't slap him in front of me again. So I absolutely have that visceral understanding, Marcellus, of what you're talking about. And my wife was horrified. She goes, why did you just hit that guy? I go, he touches that kid again, he's going out in a shopping cart, just so you know, at least in front of me. So I get you, Marcellus. Absolutely understand a good old-fashioned dose of street justice. Who does that? You know what I mean? I don't get it. Who could even do that? All right, so this morning I wanted to talk a little bit about our early morning meme. Oh, let me also say, because I want to thank everyone for participating in this. Now, if you're thinking it's a couple weeks, not this Saturday, but the next Saturday coming up, if you're around, we're going to be doing the 13 on 13. So what that means is from 11 a.m. to midnight, we're going to be doing the IPM Nation's International Block Party for the Brian Brain Trust. It'll be the weekend before Easter, and then obviously the weekend before I head in to have my little nip and tuck. So if you're around Saturday, April 13th, 11 a.m. to midnight Eastern time, we're going to have some great guests and a lot of fun doing it. It's not the full 24-hour marathon like I've done before, but it'll be a pretty cool time. So if you're like, oh, I'm out and about running around doing things on a Saturday, then this would be a great time to grab the QR code, take us along with you. As I say every morning, I love riding shotgun. All right, so for today, the news you can use So if you're thinking, oh, if I want to get a healthy dose, old-fashioned dose of street justice, I'd rather have Brian do it than Marcellus, because that Marcellus, man, he's one big dude. I don't want him roughing me up. Then don't smack your kid in front of us is all we're saying, right? Don't beat up on an 85-year-old guy and kick him while he's down on the ground, you dope. Yeah, all right, enough for me. So, but what can we do today as we get into our first week? Remember, just like your immune system, it's not necessarily bolstering it. Even your philosophical immune system. There's a balance to it, right? There's an equilibrium, a yin-yang, if you will, if you're familiar with a Taoist philosophy. But there's a balance to it. And could it be, even as Derek said this morning, he goes, if you get in sleep deprived, your scales are tipped the other way, you're not getting the sleep that you're supposed to be getting, then, well, let's talk about balance. What would it take? We can't always be firing on all cylinders. And maybe we need to give ourselves some permission. So if there's a day where you go, oh man, did I just do that? And if you've been listening to the show at all through 400 and some odd episodes now, I say all the time, you can't spell Brian without the I in idiot. So, but I give myself permission to do stupid things from time to time. I'm never going, oh, what is stupid? What can I do? And then go, oh, that's stupid. I should do that. It's just after the fact, I catch myself going, did you do that? And what I'm thinking of this morning is that maybe you and I can stop beating up on each other. Maybe we can get off our own back, right? In addition to not turning a blind eye and a deaf ear to our heart's highest priority, maybe we can be a little compassionate inwardly. Maybe we can be a little forgiving inwardly. So if you do something that's dopey, find a word that just means dope or idiot or whatever else you want and see if you can match up your name with it. Because when I do something and I go, yeah, can't spell Brian without the N in nincompoop, it causes me to chuckle. And then I kind of go, yeah, I can do that from time to time. You got to watch. I might be a couple quarts low today. You got to watch. But they're going to go ahead and change all that on the 23rd of this month, hopefully. Put in some Bondo, some Spackle, some Flex Seal, some old gum. See if they can't plug up that hole. Let me say good morning to Jennifer. Jennifer, nice to see you. Thank you for joining us here at All Natural Being. And let me be, I'm sure all kinds of people are congratulating you, but I see from time to time on social media that your pictures, you're a great photographer, by the way, Jennifer. Your pictures keep not rising, but they're like ahead of all these other photographers. They keep getting picked on all these really cool things. So congratulations to you. And then let me just run down real quick as we get ready to get out of here, say goodbye to everyone for this morning. Lee, thank you for joining us. Heather, as always, nice to see your smile. Thank you so very much. Kathy, thank you for joining us. Marcellus, let's get together and maybe we can work out together sometime, brother, and work on our concept of good old-fashioned dose of street justice. Jennifer says, good morning to everyone. Jennifer, good morning to you as well. All right, we're going to go ahead and get out of here. We'll be back. Don't forget, today starts our up in 30 guarantee, and this ought to be comical. I should just leave the stream going so you can see all the hoops that I have to jump through to see if I paid attention to what Matt Connerton from IPM Nation was saying to me last night. But this starts our up in 30 guarantee. All right, we're going to go ahead and get out of here. We'll see you bright and early tomorrow morning. Thank you so very much for kicking off your April with us, and we will see you then.
You've been listening to All Natural Being with Brian Brawdy.
Join us live every Monday through Friday, 7 to 8 a.m. Eastern.
Also, check us out around the clock at allnaturalbeing.com.
Until then, always remember to bring your own bold.